My name is Ben from Boss Construction Group. I handle open permits and code violations. So what does that mean for agents? Usually, this house, it was beautiful, CO'd 2 years ago. We spoke to the owner. What does this mean for agents? I don't want things to get in the way of, I don't want to open permits, code violations, liens, anything getting in the way of your closing or your sellers or getting your deal done. So I used to be a city inspector and code officer, and I'm here to provide you guys with a resource. And I'm here to provide you guys, and Carlos is here with Atlantic Building Inspections. He's also here to provide you with a solution. So we'll talk about the solution after I present, and we'll roughly go about 25 minutes. Is that okay? So a long time ago when I started out as a city inspector, I saw a lot of agents in the building department. Agents trying to handle open permits, code violations, expired permits, whatever you want to call it. With the county, with the city, the process is the same. It's very time consuming, and when you invite the city on the property, sometimes they find more issues. So a lot of times I found agents trying to facilitate these things themselves. I got my general contractor license after being a city inspector and knowing the process. And a lot of times what I do is I make recommendations for agents or people selling their property. For example, we have a lot of things called non-conforming uses, especially in older housing stock. What that might mean is a garage that you cannot convert or cannot legalize. Someone built a bedroom in there. It might mean, like I was in Broward and Southwest Ranches, that you have someone built an unpermitted structure on a 3-acre property. It didn't meet finished floor elevation. It didn't meet the zoning requirements and setback for the town. So there's some things we can't permit. And I want to tell you that right away. And I want to tell you that before you go under contract or before a buyer's agent goes to the city and asks them, hey, is this permitted use or is this okay? Every property, probably except for about this one, has skeletons in their closet. So what I mean by that is there's some things that haven't been permitted unless it's new construction from the ground up. So an existing land use condition, an existing zoning matter, something. So what I'm here to do is be a resource for the agents and help resolve those issues. I work mostly with sellers. Agents and title companies usually bring me to the property owners, whether it's residential, commercial. I've done industrial deals. Commercial realtors, which we were talking about that, they've done a lot of what I've done several times over and 10 times over. A lot of times residential property owners, they're caught off guard. Why are they caught off guard? Because Service America did a water heater in the house, or they're out of business right now. They need to renew the permit. They can't find them. Even if the contractor is still in business, good luck getting them out. So a lot of times we have 10, 15 days before closing. If the agent's not proactive, that's when they usually get the lien search, the title company. I want agents to pull lien searches or use the solution that Carlos is going to bring to you later in the presentation proactively, which we can find out about open expired permits, code violations, liens, prior to the lien search. And we're here to offer that resource to you as the agents as well. So there's open permits, there's expired permits. A lot of residential agents and residential property owners don't know until they get that lien search. You could have them fill out a seller's disclosure. A lot of times they don't know. They don't know if the roofer called the final. They don't know if the roofer called any inspections. All they know is that they paid the roofer. So every solution is different. So when agents call me, they'll say, hey, Ben, I have an open roofing permit, and then I say that, first thing I do is I have the records, I go to the city, I see what inspections were missed, what the deficiencies are on the property. Also, if there are any deficiencies on the property, for example, any unpermitted work. Because we can close properties with open and expired permits. I do it all the time. I tell agents, look, I was in Sunny Isles the other day for an open flooring permit. I don't know if there was soundproofing. They didn't have any inspections. Guy did $30,000 in renovations of the unit without permits. So obviously I can't call the city to close out the flooring permit. My recommendation to the agent was, I said, hey, call it a $7,500 or $10,000 credit to the buyer, explain them the situation, and explain to them why we can't close the flooring permit. So I'm here to give you the best advice. I'm not your general contractor who's looking to perform work. It's always a hardship situation for the seller. So that's what I'm here to provide to agents. First time seller doesn't know what to do with it, or property owner, it becomes a hardship situation. They ask the agent to get involved, or they say, hey, they go after an agent's commission. That's not right. My whole family's agents. You guys don't belong. Getting your commission reduced, causing exposure and liability to the seller by facilitating this process. So I understood why agents were always doing this, why agents were in the city and the building department. I spoke to a couple brokers about it, and it's a liability to the brokerage. I mean, you guys trying to close open permits and code violations, one thing leads to another, similar to when you open a real estate office and you do remodeling, the city wants a business tax receipt. So always remember, with the city and the county and the municipality, it's very time consuming, and one thing always triggers another. Just through my experience, I am able to tell the seller every single deficiency that'll come up during the inspection when we try and close it out. I don't want surprises, and I don't want to be strung along. There are other permit processing companies. I spoke with a guy, Gary Biswick, over in North Miami. Gary tells me 3 years ago that they were looking for duplexes that were threeplexes or fourplexes. So they were looking for units that weren't supposed to be there in multifamily, or they were looking for like huge renovations done without permits. Now they're looking for hot water heaters. Now they're looking for air conditioners. So again, this came into play around 2009, 8 or 9, when I was working in Miami Gardens, when investors were coming and flipping homes, and the residents and the business owners were getting pissed off. They were buying homes with severe problems. It's very important before the reoccupancy inspection that, we take a look at the property before we invite the city on the property. Very simple things. I could get things permitted. I had an agent who was trying to get a 3rd or 4th bedroom permitted in a bathroom, where I know the lady at the property appraiser's office for Miami-Dade. While she's there, she lets me use the appraisal to change the bed and bath count. What would you rather? That or the city or the county come on the property? So that was with a single family. With a condo or a townhome, an attached structure, they have to come out to the property. So every single solution is different. Meaning that you call me with the lien search, you call me with the property address, and I'm able to help you or guide you with the right advice so you can help your seller. Especially, it's nice to know about these deficiencies of properties before you list the property. That's even better, because you go for 4 and 6 months listing, marketing, putting all your time, energy in the property, to find out that when you list the property, you have structural deficiencies, which could have been found in a small home inspection. Or you find open permits or code violations, which could have been found using a solution that Carlos is going to give you. I even have agents do a little white lie. I used to work in the city of Weston, which is a little further north, this far west though. They call the city, hey, I'm a resident. Is there any open permits and code violations on the property? Why do they say they're a resident? Because when you go into any city, the city works for residents and business owners. So again, the last thing the city wants to see is an agent come in the building department, I'm ready for my commission, you guys got to close this right now. And it doesn't work that way. And there's a lot of frustration, and the seller's always going through hardship. So again, you guys can call me if you need anything at all. What I recommend, and I gave you all my contact information, what I recommend to you guys, if you want, you can like my Facebook page. I put little 1-minute videos about real cool open houses that I'm going to, issues that I'm having in North Miami with Gary Biswick, things going on in Miami Gardens, things going on in Pinecrest. And keep in mind, one time in Palmetto Bay, I'll be able to close out an open permit with an engineer's letter. And then the next year they say, we don't want an engineer's letter for this type of permit. So the building official changes, the people change on the property. That's why I don't have a one set solution. But what I can tell you is for your seller or property owner, there's not going to be any surprises. I'm going to be able to identify all the deficiencies. I give a free consultation. When you give me that permit number, when you give me that address, a free consultation. If I feel like I can help you after I've pulled the records and find out why they failed inspection, was it just no plans and permit card on site, so the owner didn't allow access to the city to final, or were there actual deficiencies? When the city comes out or the county to do an inspection, they're going to look at the deficiencies that were documented. I had a similar situation, 7870 Flagler, which was a pretty interesting property where I had to close out some burglar alarm permits in a shopping center because the buyer was seeking an SBA loan. The buyer was also one of the tenants in the shopping center. So this was off Flagler in the 826, and three things happened during this commercial transaction. Number one, the tenant above put in a kitchenette without a permit. Am I good on time? Am I good on time? Yeah. The tenant above put in a kitchenette without permit. Everything flooded while the property was under contract. Number two, the other tenant on the other side of the building who was buying the property somehow invited an inspector on the property and an attorney and started an ADA lawsuit against the property, saying that his store wasn't accessible and didn't have means of egress under the Federal Administrative Code for American Disabilities Act. That's parking spots.